The origins of the Skeleton Bros from Undertale have always been shrouded in mystery. Even before we had Deltarune to add a bit more detail, we still didn't really know where they came from. Many theorists before me have made guesses and predictions of where the bros came from with interesting degrees of success, to say the least. But I think today we have more evidence than ever to suggest where the bros are from, and I don't think it's from Snowdin or even Undertale's world, but actually Deltarune's universe. In this video, I'm going to be talking all about Sans and Papyrus' origin story, so spoiler warning if you haven't played Undertale or both chapters of Deltarune yet. Make sure to subscribe if you like videos like these, and please enjoy the video. This video is sponsored by Everhood Eternity Edition. Everhood is back with a brand new spin to things, the Eternity Edition. If you're not sure what Everhood is, it's an action role-playing game where the battles are these rhythm game-inspired arenas that serve a lot of challenge and are so dang fun to play. With the Eternity Edition, the game is now available on Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. That means there are 4 consoles containing 16 new exclusive battles with songs from the composers of games like Donkey Kong Country, Fez, Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, and Crypt of the Necrodancer. Some amazing soundtracks there. These battles are designed by some of the best level designers in the Everhood community, so you know they're going to be great. Click the first link in the description below to access the different stores where you can purchase the game, and make sure to follow Blitworks' social media platforms for giveaways and prizes about the game's launch. Everhood is a super fun game. The battles in it really blew my mind the first time I played them, and it's a very unique concept paired with this game that also has a great story. Make sure to check out Everhood Eternity Edition, and thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Let's start from the start of what we know. Sans and Papyrus are residents in Snowdin, but don't seem to fit in. As explained in dialogue from the shopkeeper in Snowdin, you can sit outside and watch those wacky skeletons do their thing. There's 2 of them. Brothers, I think. They just showed up one day and asserted themselves. The town has gotten a lot more interesting since then. Assert, defined by the Oxford Dictionary, means to state a fact or belief confidently or forcefully. So it appears that Sans and Papyrus came from wherever they came from and just gaslit everyone in Snowdin to not question their appearance and just act like they were people of Snowdin the entire time. Besides the shopkeeper just flat out saying it, it's clear that they exhibit weird behavior by being wacky. They're clearly not from this part of the underground. When I mean this, I'm talking about Sans more than Papyrus. I mean Sans takes shortcuts that can be interpreted as him teleporting. No one else in the underground can do that except for him. What we know of Sans' origin story can be found in his boss fight. He says, "I gave up trying to go back a long time ago, and getting to the surface doesn't really appeal anymore either." This confirms that Sans is not from the surface because he says either, and he's not from Snowdin as well. And he's so deep in living in Snowdin that he's given up on trying to go back to wherever he came from. We can look further into this by seeing Sans' workshop, which you get the key from Sans' room. In the workshop, there's a covered up machine, blueprints which are written in unreadable symbols, which you can either interpret as Alphys' messy handwriting or wingdings for W.D. Gaster, and 4 drawers, 2 of which you can access. The second drawer contains a badge, which we don't really know much about what this connects to or what it means yet, but the first drawer contains multiple things. The objects inside the first drawer can change based on what the player has done in the story. No matter what though, there will be a photo album of Sans looking happy with people you don't recognize. People is an interesting word to use here. It could either be a throwaway word just to mean, well, monsters, but it could also exclusively mean humans. After the battle, another photo appears, this time being Sans with all the protagonist's friends. Likely a photo taken after the pacifist ending that's just here. I know this doesn't make sense chronologically, but maybe Sans went back and placed the photo in the drawer or something. This would make sense as it happens after the final battle, which is after the ending, where we see the photo. This was all that was there until the 1.001 patch, which added Clamgirl's dialogue about Susie, who shares a name similar to Susie from Deltarune, but it is spelled differently. After talking to Clamgirl, a card can be found in a binder, being a poorly drawn picture of 3 people with the words "Don't Forget" in lowercase. Sans has a drawing that says "Don't Forget" with 3 other people. I'm sure you got it by now. Sans and Papyrus are clearly from Earthbound. Wait, no, Deltarune. No, I'm not gonna joke about theory anymore, I promise. The people mentioned in the first picture could be from the Deltarune world, which is why we don't recognize them, and the people from the drawing are probably Chris, Susie, and Ralsei. We know that Ralsei likes drawing based on the fact of the manual and the files of Deltarune. He probably drew this picture and gave it to Sans, which could potentially mean that Sans is a bigger part to play in Deltarune's story, or it's a memento from the Light World. And it literally says "Don't Forget" on it, the credit song to Chapter 1, which also is the main motif of Deltarune. You may be skeptical of this, which is why I have even more evidence up my sleeve. In June of 2023, the Undertale and Deltarune summer newsletter released, which included a question and answer segment with Papyrus. Most of these questions were jokes, but the final question asked Papyrus what his life was like before Snowdin, and Papyrus responded by saying, "Before Snowdin? Well, there was green grass, and..." He gets interrupted by Sans, who calls him to the shower, and Papyrus asks Sans to finish the question for him, which then prompts Sans to finish the question without answering. So this was a major lore drop for their origin. We know that the grass was green, something I'm yet to see in my life, but what could this be referring to? Well, there are a few instances of green grass in Undertale, but do you know where there's a lot of green grass? Hometown in Deltarune. Let's be fair to the competition, this isn't a be-all end-all for my argument. This could be a meta reference to Undertale's Kickstarter reward tier video, which was a video on the Undertale Kickstarter page that featured Sans and Papyrus on the starting grass in Undertale. However, I'm gonna cross this off immediately. Not only has Toby said this Kickstarter campaign wasn't canon to the story of Undertale, although this is referenced from a joke tweet, but this video was recently privatized, possibly to deconfirm any theory saying that this is wrong. I know it's probably just a coincidence, but it is a possibility. So now that I've confirmed that the Sans from Undertale is the same one as the Sans from Deltarune, where does Papyrus fit into all of this? In the pacifist ending, Papyrus will ask Sans what the giant ball in the sky is, which Sans says, "We call that the sun, my friend." And the sun does exist in the Deltarune universe, as seen when the sun sets in the chapter 1, so how can Papyrus and Sans be from Deltarune, but Papyrus doesn't know what the sun is? Well, Papyrus hasn't been seen in Deltarune yet, only Sans. He's mentioned in the Steam bio, but that's it. Sans says his younger brother can't meet Chris in chapter 2, and this brother is heavily implied to be Papyrus. Inspecting Sans's door in chapter 1 says that Chris can hear a trousel of bones, referencing Papyrus's battle theme, Bone Trousel. And even entering Papyrus's name in the Vessel Maker brings the result of an interesting coincidence, meaning that Papyrus is known in this universe, but that could also just mean the voice knows about the Undertale world. Sans could definitely be pulling a bait and switch. It's very thematically appropriate for his character to do this, and it would definitely make sense. It's like the shopkeeper said, brothers, I think. She can't even confirm if they're brothers. Also, I just think it'd be really funny if Sans is like, here's my baby brother, and then it's just a smaller version of Sans. So what if there's a chance Papyrus isn't from Deltarune, but Sans is, and Papyrus is from somewhere else? If he doesn't know the sun, there's a very clear difference in knowledge from Papyrus to Sans, so it would make sense if they were from a different world, or alternatively, the Papyrus we meet in Deltarune is a similar one with a different memory, similar to Toriel and Undyne. So where does this bring us? Let's recap. Sans is 100% not from the world of Undertale. He is most likely from the Deltarune universe as indicated by this photo in his workshop and all the evidence I brought up earlier in the video. Papyrus could be from the same place as Sans, but doesn't seem likely to be based on them having different knowledge sets. I'm not completely ruling it out though, and he could just be from Undertale. Also, maybe Papyrus just hasn't left the house yet, I don't know. So how does Sans end up here? Probably something to do with that machine. I imagine the roaring takes over, Sans grabs that drawing that Ralsei gave him and just jumps into a machine that Gast was working on in the bunker and uses it to go to Undertale's universe, trying to repair it so we can save our world. Or he happily volunteers to go into it after the events of Deltarune, not knowing where he'd end up. You could theorize about this for hours, about how Sans ended up in the Deltarune universe, but I think one thing is clear. Sans and Papyrus are potentially from the Deltarune universe.